5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, yeah, and I think that's one of the things the game does well, because it kind of builds you up. Because you said you had to finish the game 10 times to unlock something. Well, here's the thing. You can't even get to any of the alternate endings until you finish those 10 times. So it builds you up to, all of this wider stuff. Because those 10 times are just beating the boss of floor 4. And I'm going to tell you there's 2 levels deeper that you can go than that.
And a few higher as well, technically.
Yes. But then there's also like another completely separate set of floors you can go down, which leads to a different set of bosses. And then by unlocking that route, you can also then do a different route which leads you to what is now considered the true final boss of the game. It's massive, but it's definitely one of those games. It's definitely a game that I think, if it doesn't have it already, that would benefit from having the option to toggle DLCs, so you can just kind of pick it up and play the base game and understand it, and then start unlocking as you go. There is one particular item that if you do not get before you buy the DLC is so much more harder, and it's one of the best items in the game. To unlock it, though, you have to beat everything in the game with the hardest character. And this is the reason why it's easier to do it before you buy the DLC, because there is less to complete in the game before you do that.
Does it actually work that way round? It's not just beating the original ones, it's beating...
beating everything that is currently available.
I think that was like the problem with... what was it? Yeah, in Payday 2.
And it's Payday,
like, in order to unlock you've beaten everything on the hardest difficulty, it's not all the games that are out, but that it's every new heist since then. You also need to complete, which...
The thing with Isaac is the only advantage you get by buying the DLC is I think the DLC makes that character easier to unlock, but that isn't going to help you, because that's not... I will tell you, the character you have to do it with is a character which is one hit and you're dead. You have to play perfectly throughout the entire thing.
Every one of these games, or this style of games, has BPM has one of those characters as well, where it's like you get a lot of bonuses. Like, sure, you have free roaming, you can fly around and stuff, and you have quite a powerful gun, but God, if you get touched, then
this character has one advantage, that it starts with flying. Other than that, nope. You start with all the lowest base stats possible, one hit and you're dead. And there's even some items which is like, why would I bother picking this up with this character? It does nothing. Any health ups does nothing.
Yeah.
It's just like, great.
It's like, is it you got to get like the blue hearts, because red hearts are health, blue hearts.
No, he doesn't even work with the blue hearts either.
No? Oh wow.
No, nothing will give. There's one item in the game that will give you one additional hit per room. And that is an exceedingly rare item, and also considered one of the most powerful in the game. And there is a way to eventually unlock it so that he starts with it, but I think you need the DLC to do that. But yeah,
just get all the flies. Let the flies do your work for you. Hide.
The fact that I managed to complete the game with that character legitimately is genuinely something I was just like, how the hell? Admittedly, it was a massively overpowered set of runs, but...
I mean, that's the thing with these roguelite games. You kind of got to... the items you
this-
get along that path is entirely it's completely luck based, and that's going to set you up for a failure or success sometimes.
And this is the big thing with the Binding of Isaac. Some roguelike fans like it really like it and point it out as like, this is the best, because while there is definitely skill, there is such a degree of randomness that you can have runs that you can get that lucky run where it just gives you a break and you just have a lovely time getting through. And then there are times where it's like the game will just be, fuck you, I'm not giving you anything.
Yeah, like I say, with 130 new items with the new update, you limit the chance of getting the item you want every time you add a new item.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Although there are other items that mitigate it, and I will say you can now unlock achievements with mods, which means you can get mods to cheat a little. But yeah, I did it all the hard way. If I'll be honest, some of the characters are not fun to play as. So, but yeah, the Binding of Isaac. I mean, again, I also know people that won't play this game for religious reasons. Because it takes. To be fair, I know people that don't play Doom 2 for religious reasons. Though I would also argue, surely murdering Hell's demons is a good thing for your religion.
I'm certain there was like a quote somewhere. It's like people saying, "Is this demonic?" And it's like, "No, you're killing demons."
Yeah,
it's anti-demonic.
Binding of Isaac is definitely, it's meant to be a bit of a religious political statement.
Yeah.
But, and you know, I still enjoyed the game. I've enjoyed this game for years. Yeah, it's definitely it's definitely Marmite, but for me, it's up there as one of my favourite games of all time. I've definitely put the hours into it. And fuck you, Edmund McMillan, if you're adding more achievements into this new update that force you to have co-op.
I believe it is.
Yeah. Binding of Isaac, specifically, I'm going to specifically give the Rebirth edition. I think that's the better version. I will say the soundtrack for all of them is good. So
yeah, the soundtrack is great.
That's the other thing that does bug me slightly. The soundtrack changes with each DLC update.
Oh.
And there's no way to revert it back, which feels weird. But
I'm sure I still have that somewhere.
Oh yeah, I've actually got a mod that puts the music from the original mod Anti-Birth into the game, which is what I enjoy. But yeah, Binding of Isaac, Rebirth, it goes very cheap on Steam. At the very time of recording, it's on discount for its 10th anniversary. But if you like your roguelike games, I think this is a good middle ground. There's arguments that say that it's both too hard and too easy. The people that say it's too easy go towards Enter the Gungeon, which is much more skill-based, where it punishes you for not doing well, but rewards you for never taking damage. And I feel that stops it helping you learn as easy. Whereas the other side of it, I'd say Rogue Legacy, where every time you go through the game, you can get stronger by paying up gold to level up. Isaac is that middle ground where it's just dumb luck, almost, whether you'll succeed. There's some skill involved, learning the patterns, learning the enemies. But yeah, sometimes it's just dumb luck whether you have an easy run. Cool. So my next entry is purely personal. My number 9.
Okay. I mean, this is not a personal list of games that you enjoy.
True, but I will say that all my games from 1 to 8 so far, I think, are standout representations of both their genre or something they've done great in the industry, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
This is just a childhood game that I love. I still enjoy replaying. In fact, I enjoyed it so much, I did a Let's Play on Last Minute Continue of it.
Yeah, you did, didn't you? Oh.
Yes, I've also done the prequel to it and its Mega Drive version as well. But this particular game is a Master System game for the Sega Master System called Mickey Mouse in the Land of Illusion.
Our good old friend Mickey Mouse.
Mikkel Mouse.
Mikkel.
So the story for this one goes, Mickey is reading a lovely book, falls asleep, and is for some reason transported into the world of the book, where Little Red Daisy Hood asks him to save the princess and beat the Phantom, not to be confused with the Phantom Blot. And you go through plenty of worlds using Mickey's ultimate power, his bottom, to defeat enemies. I'm not joking, the main method of attacking is jump in the air, get Mickey to stick his ass down, and pound those enemies into the ground with his bottom.
I'm not going to say Mickey Mouse known for his cake, but
cake's what you use to recover your health. But you go through the various it's general fantasy tropes, but there's a couple of nice twists to it. So,
I mean, is it a side scroller? I take it then.
Side scrolling platformer. Yeah. You start off in a forest. Fair enough. You then go to a water level very early on. You then go to your first castle. Castles are the only levels you can't repeat, but they usually unlock something. The first one is the blacksmith's castle, which has a boss in it. And upon reaching the end, you meet your first... all the castles have a Disney character who's head of the castle. First castle is Horace Horsecollar, for people who remember him. But he tells you that in order to get through the next area, you need a shrinking potion. And that can be found in a ghost mansion. And the way to get to that is through the previous level, where all the water has now risen and the secret entrance is now open. So a little bit of interesting play where you have to go back to a level just to open another level to then get a new item. But you kind of build up your stuff, build up getting abilities. So you get a shrinking potion, you get cloud shoes that let you walk on clouds, you get climbing rope that lets you climb up walls. Mm-hmm. And all of these things come from different characters. You get Goofy, who gives you a cannon to open up the road. Goofy's head of the toy box castle.
Who gave him the cannon?
It's a toy cannon that just happens to shoot real cannonballs. I think Donald Duck is head of the sand castle. Sure.
Interesting. I mean, he's a Navy captain, wasn't he? Or he was officially a Navy enlister, wasn't he?
Can't remember on that one. But yeah, it's got a smattering of Disney characters in there. It's just a nice, fun adventure. What more can you want? What more can you really ask? You've got a good variety of levels. You've got, I think, a level that's full of just giant sunflowers. You've got a level that's literally a castle made of sand that's flooded somehow.
Oh no, it's crumbling.
No, it is. That's kind of the point of it. It's got like quicksand traps and then water puzzles in it. There's also a desert with a pyramid that has a secret. Like the pyramid itself is a secret level within the level. Goofy's toy castle. There's like some ancient ruins. There's a cloud. There's a castle in the clouds where you have to get grow a beanstalk to get up it. And yeah, it's a good old jolly time. It's just a classic for me, really. It's a sequel to Castle of Illusion for the Master System. Castle of Illusion was both on the Mega Drive and the Master System. Fairly similar between the two. There's a couple of major differences between them. Again, both of those games are also been Let's Played by myself on the LMC. YouTube channel, so go check those out. But honestly, this is, it's just a
fun little...
It's a fun little classic one. It's one I remember. I think it's well balanced. Yes, it is for kids. It's like, last time I went through it, I blitzed through it, no problems. There's a load of health upgrades. There's more than you can actually carry in the game, although I think they reset if you die. Can't remember, don't quote me on that one. And yeah, I mean, I have never actually played Legend of Illusion, which I think was a Game Gear exclusive, which is why I never played it. But yeah, the whole Illusion series I just think is a set of really well done Mickey Mouse games. They're not without the flaws, but they're just fun. I don't have much more to say on that unless you have other questions.
No, I mean, kind of games from that period of time. I mean, you get so many sort of side-scrolling styles of games from back then. Like, obviously, Sonic, Earthworm Jim, goddamn Bubsy, Mario. I mean, that was the era of side-scrollers. So to say,
it was.
I think the thing. It's what we're used to, what we know.
Yeah, I guess the other thing is this was one of the few big Mass System games, and I believe they were actually developed by Sega, whereas later Disney games were developed by Virgin Interactive, I think. So when you get stuff like Mickey Mania and Maui Mallard, those were developed by Virgin, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, or it might be Disney Interactive, I can't remember. But yeah, these early ones, Castle Illusion, Land of Illusion, Quackshot is the other big one from that era, which was another side-scroller, but it gave Donald Duck a gun that shot plungers.
Interesting, because there is a Castle of Illusion on Steam, not the.
Yes, so they made a reimagining of it, but that's very much based on the Mega Drive version, I think.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, it definitely is some kind of reimagining. If this was on my Master System, this 3D smooth graphics, that would have been something impressive.
I know, that would be... Nah,
yeah, a reimagining of the Sega Genesis Classic, so yeah, this is the...
Yeah. I think the big difference is I think the Master System actually has more levels, because it splits a couple of the levels in two. So whereas I think the Mega Drive and that obviously new version combines the library and the Candyland into one level, the Master System version has them as two separate levels. So it's just an interesting one. But yeah, the Land of Illusion is much more kind of a thought out story, I guess. I mean, to give you spoilers, in the end, it was all in Mickey's imagination after he read the book and fell asleep in his chair. So,
who would have seen that coming? What a twist.
Yeah, but as I said, it's meant to be a kid's game. It's not going to be super in depth or super difficult, but also I think the music for it's very good as well. It's definitely iconic. Or at least for me, it was well memorable. So I'm sure you get to hear a bit of that in a minute. But this is another one of those. I think you could combine all of the Illusion games. So that's a Castle, Land, and Legend of Illusion on the Master System / Game Gear, and then Castle and World of Illusion on the Mega Drive. World of Illusion was definitely the most interesting one. It was another one I had, and I've actually played with Turbo before. And it's interesting because there's 2 playable characters, Mickey and Donald. And depending on which character you play, you actually get some slightly different levels because Donald's fat ass can't get under some things. I wish I was joking, but that is genuinely the reason why.
I mean, I'll be honest. He's got cake.
However, the game also has a 2-player mode where you play as Donald and Mickey, which also has different levels when you're playing as 2 of them.
You can't split up.
Well, no. The way it works is Mickey pulls Donald through. So Mickey has to go through first, and then Donald tries to go through, and then you press the co-op action button. Mickey pulls Donald through. And I remember on one of them, it changes the level into an escape sequence because by pulling Donald through, you start making the place collapse.
That's pretty clever. I like that. That's smart.
But there's other mechanics throughout the game. There's seesaws you have to jump on. So you jump on, thing on the other end goes up, and then it comes back down and launches you up. With the 2-player version, there's no log on the other end, so you have to get each other up and then let a rope down to get the other person up.
Okay.
World of Illusion is genuine. If you're gonna do a Let's Play of World of Illusion, you have to play it 3 times to get
the full experience.
And one of those has to be with someone else. No, genuinely, it's you have to play it. You have to play it 3 times. There are unique levels for each free combination. Sadly, Land of Illusion is single player, so yeah. But yeah, I think we've waffled on about that one enough, so enjoy some of the music instead. And last but not least, we come to my number 10, which ironically is going to finish this list in a very similar way to my number one that we finished with from last time.
Yes.
Do you remember what my number one was?
It was the Paper Door, wasn't it?
Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door.
That's the one, yes.
Which, ironically, after we had recorded that, we found out they were going to do a re-release.
Yes, they did, yes.
Which released earlier this year. So, and that hasn't changed my opinion. It's still number one.
Cause I
makes no difference whether you play the original or the re-release.
I remember you had a little chat about that one, about the changes they made that made it better and worse in one of our...
Yeah. And, might turn up in our end-of-year discussions.
Yep.
Because only get one remake a year, and I've played a lot of them this year, to be fair, but I think I know which one's winning.
So it's going to be harder and harder to make a top 10, like a top 5 of the year when more and more of them are remakes.
Oh, God, yeah. It's bad enough that I've had to use Final Fantasy VII Remake as a new game in 1 year, and I'm probably going to have to use Rebirth as a different one.
I mean, that's acceptable, because they're taking the original premise and going somewhere different with it, which is...
I mean, the plot has potentially very heavily changed.
Yeah.
Ironically, I was talking to Turbo about this when he came down my way, because he was like, do I count Shadow Generations as a separate game to Sonic Generations?
Yes, because... the Generations part may be the same, or at least similar, but there's enough new content there to consider. It's like the difference between like the Halo remasters, which are just a fancy coat of paint.
Yeah.
Versus, or because I would even consider the Crash games, even though they are remade Crash games, they're still imitating, or at least trying to imitate the originals, almost one to one.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that would be a remake rather than a reimagining or a re.
Yeah. But it can be a fine line at times, I think.
It can be, yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, slightly off topic. Although, admittedly, the game I'm going to say has had a remake, but it was generally accepted to be a weaker remake than its original. But in the same vein as Paper Mario, it is another RPG, specifically with the portly plumber in it. And generally people fall into one of three categories. You either think the Paper Mario original trilogy is the best of the RPG series, which obviously I kind of fall under, and that Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door is by far the best. Or you fall into category 2, which is, no, the only good games ever made were on the SNES, and so therefore Super Mario RPG on the SNES is the best RPG. Also, it's the only one made by Square. Shut up, you're not allowed to argue anything else than that. I don't fall into that category because I did not have a SNES when I was younger, so I don't have the nostalgia associated with it. I still don't think it's a bad game. I'm trying to get through the remake at the moment, but it's not my favourite cup of tea. Then you have the third category of game. No, it is not the people that think the recent Paper Mario trilogy is the best game, because that's nobody. Nobody thinks the recent Paper Mario games are any good. Well, some people do, but they're stupid.
I mean, I'm sure people who haven't played any of the ones before it might.
No.
No, not yet.
It's almost universally accepted that Color Splash is just a bad game. And then Nintendo got very shirty with people who reviewed it very badly, even though it was a very bad game, and said, you better say Color Splash is better. Which they did. They still didn't say buy the game. The third set of people is the third set of the Mario RPG series that went, Mario on his own is boring. Who's the best partner for him? Well, there's Green Mario, isn't there?
Yeah.
And there we have the Mario and Luigi series, which has had, I think, 5 entries so far. There's a 6th one coming out soon. Of which, the first one is considered a classic. And the remake for that one was considered pretty good. But the original came out for Game Boy Advance, remake on the 3DS, I believe. And then you've had Partners in Time, Bowser's Inside Story, Dream Team Bros, which I think that one's a bit underrated, to be fair, and Paper Jam, which Paper Jam wasn't very good. And then you've got, and I'm going to get this right this time, Brothership coming out very soon, at time of recording in 3 days.
Oh,
that's going to take
I
that.
forgot that was called that, and everyone is already kind of like, you idiot.
Oh,
the moment it was announced, people were like, you idiot.
Oh, yeah, no, I keep
essentially-
accidentally...
It's the same reason why everyone was like, why have you called it Sonic X Shadow Generation? Why have you called it Sonic X Shadow? You idiot.
Oh no, they knew what they were doing for that one.
I mean, okay, Sega, I accept. Yeah, no, Sega knew what they were doing.
Yeah, Sega knew exactly what they were doing. The thing, though, with the new one is I keep calling it Mario Luigi Brotherhood.
Which, yeah.
I have never watched Metal Alchemist before.
But it's a more natural word.
Yeah, but yeah, I have actually played every game currently released of the Mario and Luigi series in one format at least. I've not actually played the 2 remake versions, but the first game is very good. Enjoy it. Second game, not so much. It was fine, but it overcomplicated it because it went from the Advance to the DS and was like, oh, we've got 4 buttons now, so let's. So the whole concept of the Mario and Luigi series is you control Mario with the A button, Luigi with the B button at all times, pretty much. The first game's a bit different. Shut up, it's close enough. So all throughout the games, like whenever you're in combat, whenever you're outside, A does whatever Mario does, B does whatever Luigi does, which in combat generally means, okay, your dodge or block buttons for that character you have to time for that character with the buttons. Yeah,
that's one of the things like in the combat I do quite like is that you can interact with the attacks as they're happening rather than just.
Yeah. That continues on throughout basically the entire series. I think Dream Team Bros doesn't really do anything weird with it apart from make Luigi a magical entity. Don't ask.
He was already a magical entity.
More of a magical entity then. Paper Jam introduces Paper Mario as a third party member and it doesn't work very well. Partners in Time added Baby Mario and Baby Luigi who were used X and Y, but that meant you were trying to control 4 characters at the same time and it got a bit much.
Only balance
Bowser's
so many
Inside Story,
thoughts.
on the other hand, kind of perfected it in my opinion. Because it did give you a third character, but he got both the other buttons. And also, you didn't generally have to control him at the same time as the brothers. You would have to switch screens, like, you sometimes had the battle with all of them involved, but generally it was, you would fight as Mario and Luigi on the bottom screen, or you would fight as this other character on the top screen who got both the Y and the X button. One was punch and the other one was either defense/duck or vacuum or suck into my belly. But yes, I'm obviously talking about Bowser's Inside Story. For me, this was the peak of the series, and nothing's beaten it yet.
Who was the other character?
Very much
Kirby. Was it?
So, okay, so this is what I love about the game. First of all, it references the previous two games very well. The main villain is actually the sidekick from the first game. Or the sidekick of the villain from the first game, Forfall, who tricks Bowser into eating a mushroom that basically gives him Kirby powers and sucks stuff into his stomach. And part of that is he sucks Mario, Luigi, and Peach into his stomach.
Yay.
And part of the adventure is Mario and Luigi get to go inside Bowser's body. Obviously, the first thing is escape, but also, Bowser's not exactly the best of guys, but he doesn't want to see the Mushroom Kingdom destroyed. And Forfall is trying to do that. And Bowser's not particularly happy about that either, so the brothers are kind of happy.
He's not about the destruction, he's about the claiming. He wants...
Yes. Also, he's not particularly happy that they're also trying to steal Peach, though he doesn't realise Peach is in his belly. Oh. So he's closer to Peach than he's ever been.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
But
wait, Peach is inside him? He was expecting the other way round.
God damn it. But yeah, Bowser will get into situations where the brothers are like, okay, we probably should help Bowser out in this one. And that can range from stuff like Bowser having to lift heavy objects, and so they have to get his adrenaline pumping. There's one scene where he gets force-fed loads of food, so they have to help him lose weight. Loads of weird stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I've seen like video clips of this kind of thing.
Yeah, and this is actually one of the reasons the remake is actually considered worse, because a lot of the base game has a really nice graphical style where it plays with the characters' expressions, and while they kind of carried that on from Mario and Luigi, they made Bowser really stoic, and he had the best facial expressions because they went over the top with him. And yeah, it's just such a well-crafted adventure. Bowser is actually really fun to play, and he's got two sets of combat styles. He's got general combat, which is very similar to Mario and Luigi, in which, as I said, he has X and Y to do two different actions. Sometimes when he sucks stuff in, he then sucks it into his belly, and then you have to transfer to Mario and Luigi who are in his belly to finish the fight off.
Yeah.
I will also say Bowser's battle theme is wonderful. Showtime is just one of the best pieces of music, full stop. Definitely going to get you to play that one in the thing.
No worries.
But yeah, as far as the storyline goes, for me it's second only to Paper Mario, especially for the comedy, especially for just how well written it is, and kind of like every character you meet has a purpose and some kind of mini arc to go with them. Like the first Mario and Luigi had some characters who were just there for a single scene to push through the plot, and you don't tend to get that for Bowser's Inside Story because everything revolves around Mario, Luigi, or Bowser in some form. This is just a wonderful title, and while I would advise seeing if you can get the original, if you need to play the remake one is fine. You just lose some of the comedy. Actually, the other Bowser battles are where Bowser gets massive, again because the brothers do something inside of him to, I don't know, super-size gland or something. But these battles actually started a trend in the Mario and Luigi series where you started to have every game you had like giant battles, where what happens is with the DS you have to flip it so it's like a book. Bowser's on one side of the screen.
Sideways. Yeah.
But they were very inventive because no two Bowser battles were the same. So for instance, the first one was just a straight fight. You had to beat up the thing. The next one was like, oh, you're on a time limit before, the stuff you're on disintegrates. And then the next one was like, the enemy's invincible. There's nothing you can do about it. So the way to beat them is not to defeat them via HP, it's to push them off the edge of the map.
Oh, sumo style. Let's go.
Yeah, but the enemy can do the same to you, so you've got to keep pushing them back. The controls for those sections were a little bit janky, I'm not going to lie, but they're still so much fun. And it works so well with the whole, you're giant on one screen and the other enemy is giant on the other screen. And then they just copied that for Dream Team Bros, except Luigi got giant. And then I think they also copied it for Paper Jam as well, except that you fought in basically like paper craft versions of characters for no reason that I remember. It was weird. Bowser's Inside Story started off and it made so much more sense in actually it makes sense in Luigi Dream Team Bros as well, but yeah, Bowser's where it's at. Bowser's definitely more fulfilling. And to be fair, most of the Mario Luigi series is good. I may have shit-talked Partners in Time and Paper Jam bit. I think Paper Jam does deserve it, but it's still decent.
It's still a decent game.
It's still decent. Dream Team Bros is very good. Its biggest weakness is forced motion controls.
No,
especially for one boss battle, I remember. Although, admittedly, I played that entire game on trains, buses mostly. So that didn't help with the motion controls.
No, I can imagine not.
And Partners in Time isn't bad, it's just a bit fiddly. The original is still very good. It's just a little bit basic compared to the rest of the series, but I would still advise playing it. But by far, Bowser's Inside Story is definitely the best. Admittedly, it helps you should play the first game, but you don't have to. That's the main thing. It's obviously my fourth favourite RPG because we had Final Fantasy 9 and Tactics A2 before it. But, you know, if my 1 to 5 are like 10 to 9.5, these are still like 9.5 to 9s.
Still in that top 10%, like top 10%.
In fact, I still think that's doing a disservice. I think Mario Luigi is still at 9.5.
Yeah, so you're still in that very top area. Maybe 9. Maybe 10 to 9.8, then 9.8 to 9.5. Then
yeah, something like that. Again, some of it's going to come down to taste as well, but I think Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, as long as you enjoy turn-based combat and you enjoy I'd say you enjoy the general Mario mythos. You don't. You need to enjoy the silly side of the Mario ethos, which is something you don't get to see very often. But honestly, that's what the RPGs do best. The RPGs open up the characters in the characters, let's be honest. It's like, I can't remember which of the Mario and Luigi games it's in, but there's a scene in one of them where Mario is sick, and so Luigi has to save the day. And Luigi's like, oh no, Mario, I can't do it. And so he gets hypnotized to be brave, which works. And so he goes out to save his brother. Ghosts. Yeah, but he's terrified of them.
Still does it.
Yeah, but this is the nice thing about Luigi's character is like he faces his fears because he's like, oh no, but if I don't save Mario, no one will. I'm coming for you.
Luigi the superior brother.
Oh, I would definitely agree. He's got personality.
Yeah.
But then Wario is a step above them, although technically Wario is not their brother, so.
No, yeah, Wario. I like Mario and Luigi are brothers, and also get Wario and Waluigi, and they're just two guys.
They're two guys with common interests. So Wario does have a relation to Mario. I'm not exactly clear what it is. So, oddly enough, I watched something earlier today where they were like, Wario is technically Mario's childhood friend who's jealous of his success. I don't know how true that is. I know there is a relationship between the two of them, but it's not a blood relation.
Not familial.
No. Though, admittedly, that is the one thing we have missed from all of the Mario and Luigi series. Wario and Waluigi. They're nowhere in that series. And I think they should be. I think Wario is meant to make a cameo in the original, and they actually cut all the cameos from the original. I don't know why either. But, like, there was a... one of the side quests you can do is you can get some, like, permanent boost by getting beans and mixing them with Professor Egad, who makes an appearance in the first game. And originally, every single one of those would make a cameo character appear to taste the new drink. And then they would give you an item related to them as like a accessory you could equip. You still get the items, so there is still a reference in there, but the characters don't appear. And I think Wario was meant to be one of those characters that appeared. I know Samus and Link were two of the other ones that were meant to appear. I think Olimar was one of the other ones.
Yeah, that'd be quite nice. Just to get another little roster of... It reminds me of, what is it, the fucking Yakuza games where you kind of get the summons of Kiryu and Majima just randomly.
But, I don't know why they cut those. Later games don't have as many references, but they can reference themselves enough, let's be fair. Yeah. But yeah, anyway. Bowser's Inside Story, absolute classic. I love it. Yeah, honestly, give it a try.
Yeah. And that makes a full 10.
That does make a full 10. So, maybe one day I'll go further down the list, but I think that's good for now.
This is at least your confirmed fixed position lists.
Pretty much. I don't think these, the 5 definitely aren't moving. Some things are creeping up the list. I can see maybe something like... I can see maybe Final Fantasy 14 maybe creeping onto the top 10, but probably not. It's hard to tell a lot of these. To be fair, I almost wondered where I should have put Doom 2016 instead of Doom 2. The reason I went with Doom 2 is it's the one I go back to more regularly, but that's more because it's easy to get back into.
No, it's like I find myself going back to Fallout 3 more than New Vegas because it's less complex and less buggy, which is an amazing statement to say about a Bethesda game.
But out of all the games, out of the 5 games we mentioned here, Tactics A2 is probably the one I play the least because A, I need to drag out my 3DS to play it, and B, it's a long ass game. If you want to do all 300 missions, there's a lot of grinding, a lot of leveling. Although I say that, there's a lot of stuff to do, and unlocking some of the biggest classes in the game is quite a bit of a task. The one of the ultimate human jobs is Samurai and Onion Knight, and they just take a long time to unlock. And I probably don't play Mario Luigi Bowser's Inside Story that much, but again, that's because I'd have to drag out the 3DS.
Yeah.
Whereas Binding of Isaac, I'll just play a game every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean that's just on the PC. You just go click done. There it is.
I have it on the PC, I have it on PlayStation, although I think that's because of PS Plus. Doom 2, I have at least 5 different copies, and I still play mods for it.
Wherever you need it, it's just there.
Pretty much. Land of Illusion I'll go back to occasionally. It's an easy one to just load up various means of playing it.
Yes.
But, this is... These are games that both have a special place in my heart and just ones that I know I can recommend regularly. I mean, we all have some of those. I mean, obviously times will change. We'll see how this list looks in 10 years maybe. Yeah. But hey, maybe we should get some other guys on to do some GOATs at some point.
Oh, absolutely. It'd be very interesting to hear what many of the other crew considering our often style of games that we all play.
Yeah, and I do think there's something you can tell from people's top 5, top 10 games. I think there's sometimes tells when did you start gaming? Because a lot of favourites will be in that era. Oddly, mine's probably one of the exceptions because I only have one Master System game and one Mega Drive game in my top 10.
Sure, but also, Doom 2 was...
Doom's around that era, I guess, as well. Although, technically, I shouldn't have played it at that age.
Nah, but when has anyone ever paid attention to those?
So, here's a funny story for you on that one. My dad introduced me to first-person shooters.
Yeah.
But Doom was the first one. Doom and Duke Nukem 3D were the first two he introduced me to. And then we went back to play Wolfenstein. But the reason he introduced me to those two first was on the basis of killing aliens with guns was more morally acceptable than killing real people until I understood the concept of war. Once I understood the concept of war, why guns were dangerous, etc., then he was happy to let me play games where you shot people as long as I was playing them with him.
Yes, I can see that. It's like guns aren't fun toys. Yeah, remember, once you learn that, then you can use them.
To be fair, I didn't play a first-person shooter on my own until I was 12, 13 at the very least. No, I always played them with my dad, so he would do the shooting and I would do the moving and aiming, basically.
Yeah, I can't think. It must have been about the same time when I started playing shooters because it was a lot of lemmings. I guess worms.
Yeah,
worms involved with.
Yeah, but this is the thing. It was I will say the only odd thing is yes, Duke Nukem 3D, much more wholesome than Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
We never interacted with the ladies.
Yeah.
But yes, anyway, that's basically my 6 to 10 in order. Going the opposite way this time, going from high to low, but good selection of games. I reckon we'll probably have to split this into 2 episodes.
Oh, yeah.
But thank you for joining me, ShadowFox.
No
Sorry
worries.
that you had to listen to me drone a bit.
It's alright. It's nice to hang out every once in a while.
Yeah, maybe we should do your 6 to 10 at some point.
You'd have to give me a year to figure it out. I can't even remember what I did with 5, so...
Well, you need to think of 5 for this year at some point.
No, I know. I think I've just about got 5 I can do.
I think I've only just got 5. But thank you all for listening in. If you've tuned in the whole thing, let us know what your greatest games of all time are in the comments and or Radio Sega Discord if you're listening live.
Or
I
the
say
LMC
live
Discord.
yeah, on the LMC Discord. Come and say hello to us.
Come join us. Come say hello.
But in the meantime, thank you for joining me, ShadowFox, and we shall be back for more shenanigans soonish, and soon we'll have our Game of the Year awards. We'll look forward to that at the end of the year.
Yes, I think this will come out, and then it'll be a mixture of the final LMC cast of the year and our Game of the Year.
Woo.
Woo.
But yes, take care, everyone.
Have a nice one. Bye.